In relation to doing what you feel moved to do, don't search for it. And know why you feel the need to search for it. Why would you feel the need to search for, what is it that I feel moved to do?
There's something missing.
Microphone? Because there's something missing. Thank you. Because there's something missing. So therefore, you are looking to replace what is missing in what you do. Because it is through your doing that you can take yourself away from the space of something missing. And what is missing? It's just the other parts of you. Guess where the other parts of you are? Outside. Everywhere. In the rock, in the tree, in the ether, in the space. Not just inside of you. It's outside as well. But when you have judgment towards the external, or judgments towards the internal, you don't see it. If you have judgment towards something you've labeled as positive or negative, as good, as bad, as right, as wrong, you don't see it. You don't see the other part of yourself. What you see instead is your judgments. And that's why you take the journey internal, to resolve your own judgments. The only judgments you have is the judgments you have of yourself. You have judgments of yourself, then you see those judgments being played out in your story. Then you judge the story. And that just locks it in. It's because of that. So don't look for it. You know, when I'm sitting here, you know, being open to speak, you know, you see me sometimes just sit in silence. You know, it's almost like I pose the question, and I don't even question, but it's almost like my attention goes to what's the, it's like becomes open to what to speak about next. And sometimes, you know, it may be a, did you just turn the aircon off?
I heard that.
Did you? Yeah.
Yeah, nice. Now look, you know you're gone.
So sometimes you notice, but easy picked up. Sometimes you notice there's a few things, right? But you don't choose the few things. You let it choose you. Like when I'm starting to talk to you guys right now, I can feel a few things. And this is the thing, what I want you to understand is you never understand the feeling until you bring the feeling out. You know, the very example of how I run this OMG is exactly how I run my entire life. When I come and present OMG, I just have a feeling. I have a feeling, and I could probably describe that feeling of what I'm going to say in a sentence. You know, I'm going to be talking today about, you know, the journey in and out. I'm going to talk about the difference between, I mean, that's probably all I know. I just got a feeling of the journey. That's it. It's just a feeling. But there's no words or description to that feeling. It's a feeling. It's like the feeling is raw. I don't want to bring it out until I'm meant to bring it out. In other words, I don't drive here going, what am I meant to talk about? Okay, I can talk about this, I can talk about this, I can talk. Well, then I'm bringing it out. Then when I come here, I'm speaking about what's already been coming out, which is form. Then you don't feel it. I wait until the moment that I'm meant to speak. I have a feeling, just a feeling. The feeling sits there. And then when I come and sit here, I begin to draw from the feeling branches, just like branches of a tree. Branches come out. And I bring into form through words the feeling, and you guys sense the feeling that I'm expressing. You either listen to the words or you sense the feeling. That's how it happens. I don't need to know. People think that on this path, that when you get to a place where you become all-knowing. The one who is all-knowing knows nothing. I'm not all-knowing. I have found, if you like, comfort or certainty to sit in the unknown, to not know. I don't need to know. And guess what? When it is required for me to know, it comes up. I know nothing. But if you ask me a question, I will speak to you from the unknown and I will have an answer. And through the conversation of it, I realize, wow, that's pretty powerful. Is that right? The little voice goes, wow, that's a great insight there. But the little voice is not taking claim for it. It's just observing that that's the answer. But the moment you make the answer or the path, you've put your power into that. So now you put your power into the known. You see, as the human or the rational mind, it wants to know because its certainty comes from what it knows. The unknown, may I remind you, is infinity. Because when something is infinite, and I'll say this in many OMGs, when something is infinite, it's all things. So therefore it's unknown. The moment it becomes known, it's finite. The moment I speak, it becomes limited. So the question always arises, are you listening to the space where the words are being formed from? Are you sensing the space from where the words are coming from, which is in you? The words are coming from within you. They're just coming through this form. Or are you listening to the words, which is listening to the form? And the form is the limitation. It's the description of the infinity, but the moment you describe infinity, it's not infinity anymore, it's finite. Because any description has parameters, has a label, a boxed it. So, I mentioned to you before that, how I came about. I do have to go a little bit into story just to give you reference points. Okay? But don't listen to the story, just relate the story back to your life. I mentioned before that I came back into the business world, right? I used to be a promoter. I left all that because I realized the business, the money, the marketing, whatever I was doing, the sales, the promoting, wasn't getting me what I wanted. It was getting me that momentarily, right? So I realized that. So then I went to this internal world. And I got to tell you, when I was in the business world, my biggest strength was being intuitive. Like the people in my company always knew Amir was intuitive. And I didn't know why I was intuitive. I didn't even know what my intuition was. I just knew I was intuitive. And I would say, hey, we need to do an event this size. Hey, this is what we need to do next. Hey, guys, this is what's going to happen. The guys would that ain't happening because what's happening is this. I'm like, yeah, but this is what's going to happen next. And this is the direction we need to move. And then we would move that direction and they were like, how did you know that? So the whole team, okay, especially my management team, would know that I was an intuitive person. And for me, it was just like no big deal. Okay? And this is what I'm going to be doing with you guys today, is finding your no big deal. your one thing. That was my one thing. I'm going to refer to this afternoon. My one thing was I could just be intuitive. I would just be like using my intuition, and I would be okay with I mean, I would say the unknown, but it's not the unknown. I'll be okay. I just know it's going to happen, right? And when I went to the internal, I started to internalize my process. In other words, I left my company, all right? Started to take the journey inward and go, well, it's got nothing to do with external. I began to realize what the intuition was, or where it was actually coming from, all right? And I began to, if you like, study my own intuition. I would use my intuition to self-realize who I was. My intuition. It was my inner tuition. I used that one thing and drew that one thing in all areas of my life. So here's my point. After 3 years of internalizing and going through this process, I started another company again. Be Free People. All right? The next company came up. But like I said to you before, it felt like I was learning to walk again. Why did it feel like I was learning to walk again? Because I knew it had nothing to do with my guys. It had nothing to do with my staff, my team, whether we were successful or not. It had nothing to do with the marketing we would do. It had nothing to do with our website. Now, can you see I'm pretty fucked up now? I'm like, well, am I meant to build a website now? Or am I meant to build a team? Like, am I meant to have the appropriate team? What am I meant to do? So the first 6 months, it felt like I was learning to walk again, because I didn't know how to use these things that I would normally put power into, because now I knew there was no power in there. So what happened? I learned when I started to walk again, right? All I did was do what's true for me. What did I feel moved to do with the website? What do I feel moved to do with the marketing? So guess what? Till 4 weeks ago, I didn't feel moved to do marketing. Until 4 weeks ago, I never felt moved to do any marketing. So guess how much marketing our company's ever done? Nothing. Like nothing. I have a marketing person, but he manages the website, manages what's coming in. He's not going out and finding new people. So where do all the people come from? For the first time, around 4 weeks ago, maybe less than 3 weeks ago, I was in LA, and then suddenly, boom, I felt moved to actually do the marketing. I was like, Patrick, out of the way. Put Patrick aside for a sec. And I actually started writing the content on what will go up on our pages. And I felt moved to do another live event. I put all this into place, but the point is this, right? Who is putting it into place now? And that's the difference. Has it got anything to do with the marketing? No, has absolutely nothing to do with the marketing. See, if I had power in the marketing or in the brand, right? If I had power in it, I wouldn't continue to be able to do some of the things that I'm doing right now in my company that I feel moved to do. Can I just open up a little bit of my business to you guys, just to show you a real life example, all right? Some of you are like, I'm not interested in companies. No, relate it back into your personal life. You guys all right if I open up a bit of my business? Okay. 3-4 months ago, I felt that, more than that, maybe 5 months ago now, okay, I didn't feel moved to speak anymore, to do live WTFs again. I'm like, oh, here we go again. What's happening now? You know, I was on stage in Los Angeles, right? True story. And as I'm on stage, I just didn't feel right there in the morning. And I was like, hi everyone, welcome to the WTF experience. Look, I'm not feeling to be here right now. So let's talk about this and see if I'm going to continue. I might actually just go to the beach. Everyone's like, but we flew here for this event. It's like, yeah, I know. I didn't say I'm not going to. Let's just talk about it. But that was the first time, and which ended up being one of the most powerful programs ever, because I don't think anyone has ever seen that level of rawness or authenticity. That was just like, did you just say that? And that some people were like, that was because at the end of it was one of the probably the most powerful WTFs I've ever did. So at the end of it, people coming up to me, they went, that was a good tool or strategy, good, because you took it away from us and you made us work it. And I'm like, no, I was just telling you the truth. They're like, were you for real? Who gets up on stage and says, I don't know if I'm going to be here? I don't know if you deserve what I've got to share with you. That's what I said. Point is, in that moment I realized I don't feel to be doing the WTF or be presenting this to people who don't know what I'm actually about to share with them. And you guys would have seen that in the webisode, which created a lot of charges, where I said some people are biting into this $200 steak and they think it's a McDonald's burger. Like, you don't actually know what I'm actually saying. Right? So I stopped speaking. Stay with me in this story. Right? And I went to my team of consultants / coaches who get their clientele, right, through my live events that I do, right? One of them's here, Dico. And I went to the team and I said, guys, I don't feel moved to be doing any more WTFs. I feel really moved to be working with the OMG people, all right? Because I know they've taken the steps towards this. I know that they're the right people that I want to be working with right now, and they know to a degree of what I'm actually sharing with them. So at this stage, I feel moved just to do the OMG programs and the retreats that we run once or twice a year. Again, I get the right people. When I say the right people, the people who know hey, he's talking about a $200 steak there. That ain't a $5 burger. And then what do my team say? Yeah, that feels good. We feel that feels right. Who creates that? That's their bread and butter. If they don't have clients, they can't coach them, nor can they sell them any programs that are upcoming. Do you understand? Now check this out. In the story, that's my bread and butter. You see, in our model, all right, none of this has any power in it. In our model of Be Free People, we would do the events, the WTFs or Intuitive Warriors, and we'd do them next to nothing. They were $1 or they were free or, $197, all that little ticket prices, right? And from there, right, people would then come and do the programs, the high-end programs, which is OMG, and they would pay $6,000 to $9,000 for OMG. Guess how you guys came into this program? Who came that way? Every single one of you, except for Wendy, but she's asleep at the moment, so. But every single one of you came that way. So can you see what I'm saying? How crazy is it to go, we're not doing any more live events? Well then, if you have power in the story, how the hell is the business going to run? And my reflections, my team, yeah, that feels fine. Check out this. Guess what the next thing that I felt moved to do? No more OMG. Okay, first you cut off the people that come to OMG, then you cut off anyone. This is the last registration. But this was decided 3 months ago, that we are no longer doing, the two groups of Sydney became one group because we knew we're not going to sell into the OMG program anymore. Then what are you going to sell, Amir? Let me tell you something, right? Nothing changed. And I don't know what my turnover is all the time. I'm actually starting to become more aware of it now, okay? And Ryan told me that our turnover dropped when we stopped selling into OMG, because what else are you selling? If you're not selling people into OMG program, what else are you selling? You guys have been in this OMG program. How many new people have we had the last 3 months? Who's signed up in the last 3 months? 1, 2. So where are you making money from, Amir? Okay, well then this is my point. Other things took place. Retreats were really successful or profitable, or Gaz came out with this OMG intent, but this was not planned. Do you understand? The money just came from different forms. It just changes. And there was a time where I shut all this down, and there was no retreat, there was no OMG intensive, and the money will come from somewhere completely different, not even business related. Or suddenly, and I'm just giving you story references, but it's got nothing to do with it. Suddenly our costs dropped dramatically, our operation costs just went whoosh. But I didn't try to bring the costs down. I didn't try to find other avenues of making money. Meanwhile, I am still doing what I feel moved to do. I'm still traveling the world. Well, Thailand and wherever I choose to go. I still, spend. Who spends 3 weeks in America when your company is here? Wouldn't your business go down? You see, I couldn't do any of that if I had power in the story. I couldn't make the decisions to allow myself to do what I feel moved to do, which is a decision made by itself. All you do is just go, no, I'm not doing this. Or you go, you just no thought. If you've got no power in the story, you just don't think about it. So when you feel moved to do it, you're like, let's do it. Check this out, Monty, you're a businessman, right? So check this out. Then I felt moved to put these webisodes together. You guys been watching the webisodes? OMGs love it. The people in OMG seem to love it, all right? But people outside of OMG, well, hey, we get a complete mixed reaction. I tell you, right? And, and the guys, they've been instructed. We manage our blog, obviously, so we don't want to get any spam, because you get spammed. But the guys have been instructed, whether it's a positive comment or a negative comment, put it on there, approve it. Unless someone's just writing, oh, this guy's a fucking muppet, and I'll get a few of those as well. Well, that's just unnecessary, so we just declined that. Or we had some individual going, Amir, he's the intuitive warrior. He's intuitively making all the money from you guys. This is where he lives. This is his phone number. Go look at his lifestyle and I'm obviously not going to prove that. It's got my phone number, my address. But here's the point. After releasing these webisodes, I start getting the team going, so Amir, and I go, yeah. I had a client that wanted to sign up to OMG online, because the OMG online came out of all that, right? Or I had a client that wanted to sign up to the retreat, for example. It's a $6,000 program or $7,000 program. And I was like, oh, cool. This client. I said, well, great, what do you need? And they go, they decided not to do it. And I said, why not? And they go, they watched the webisodes. And they loved the WTF, they watched the WTF online, and they go, well, if that's the guy that's running that, I don't want anything to fucking do with that, right? Amir, I had a client that wanted to sign up to something else. And I go, great. They watched the whole WTF, they loved it. Then they got their hands on the webisode. They said, I don't want to be part of that. Because what he's doing there, that's not love. He's not a loving guy. So then you might ask yourself, well, why would you do that to your brand, Amir? Because I feel moved to. And the brand has nothing to do with anything. Has nothing to do with my options, my sense of freedom, where my company's headed. But in the story, you think, oh, it does. It's got everything to do with it, Amir. You see, I wouldn't be able to, and even to this day, the team have kind of gone, well, are you sure we should be doing these webisodes? I just don't think people are ready for it. And I'm like, great. Then the ones who are not ready don't come. Because I'm now doing WTFs again. And I don't want any Muppets. They call me a Muppet. I don't want anyone who's thinking that I'm going to give them a tool, technique, that's going to fix, improve, or change, or take their problems away. Because that's not what this is about. I want somebody that feels what I'm saying, goes, that's what I've been looking for. Not, I should be doing this program. I feel to be doing this program. Do you understand? My sister asked me just recently, she said, just in relation to the webisodes, since we're here, she said, I don't really want to be part of these webisodes. And I was like, why? And she goes, yeah, tell Ali not to keep putting me in there. And I was like, well, don't hang around us, You're kind of going to get... And I go, why don't you want to be part of it? She's just like, she goes, because people are taking out of context. They're not actually seeing the complete thing. They see how you talk to people, or they see how direct you are, or whatever, but they don't see what happens afterwards, and see the results, and see the outcome from it. I'm like, yeah, but, that's just the way it comes out. And she goes, but why do you do that to yourself? I mean, obviously, there's people who think, and there's OMGs who understand what's going on, but there's other people who are just watching, they're going, well, that's not very loving, is it? And I said, you know what, guys? I love what's actually happening right now, because there's some people on the thing, on our blog, actually attacking us and going, well, he's a cult, he's this, he's out for your money, and he's controlling it, whatever it is they're writing. And she goes, you don't have to do that. I said, I know I don't have to do that, but I want to. And she's like, why? I said, you know what, guys? I want to be able to, when I'm up on stage and I'm doing the WTF experience, right? I know there's so many different versions of what I'm actually saying being received by so many different people. And I'm actually saying exactly the very same thing that I'm actually saying in the webisode. But when I'm up on stage, they don't see a story around it. So what I say to them, love is not always kind. Love is true. Love is this, love is that, right? People go and take their own idea of what love is. Like there's a different message, and they go, yeah, but love is still, it's love, right? But here, they get to see, no, love is you being true to yourself. Love is speaking what's true, right? People can actually see it. And she's like, yeah, I get that, but you don't have to do that. And I say, but you know what? I'm really enjoying doing that. She goes, why? I go, because I am opening my heart up for it to be stabbed. That's what I'm doing. I am doing this and then opening my heart up for whoever wants to have a stab, to have a stab. And she goes, why would you do that? And I said, because I want to know that I can still speak and walk what's true for me, even if it's getting stabbed. Because that's when I know the degree that I'm living this. I don't know. That's what came to me. Now, that's pretty, some of you might go, well, that's pretty stupid. You don't need to. No, I don't need to. But I'm having a great experience knowing that you know, soon the media might get onto it and go, this guy's and I can just go and know that I can still speak. And if I back down, then I know where I'm at. And it's not far from what you guys are doing when you're taking the path towards you. You are living an open heart. But the reason why most people can't open their hearts and speak from an open heart, do what they love from an open heart, walk from an open heart, just in case someone has a stab. Well, so fucking what? Every little stab makes me stronger, makes my will stronger. And sometimes in life we try to avoid circumstances. Well, I don't want people to reject me. I don't want people to... Let the circumstances grow your will. Let the circumstances form your character. Let your circumstances expand your capacity. You don't avoid anything. If it's true and you feel moved to, you go. And anyone who thinks doing what's loving, there's things that they will feel moved to and they won't be able to do it. Well, that's not loving. Well, geez, they could really take it. I don't want to hurt them. You see, back to what we're talking about today, when you feel a sense of completeness within yourself, that is when that you have the capacity to be able to speak and walk what's true for you. And when you're doing that, people will feel a great warmth and love from you. But they weren't trying to be loving. They were doing what's true for them. And some will experience that as a negative experience. Some will experience it as a positive experience. Some will experience it as a loving experience, where it's the positive and negative together. When you have found a sense of completeness within yourself, then, here's the thing, then you can make it about others, about the service. But hear me out. You're not trying to make it about others or about the service. The very first thing I say, one of the first things that I say at the WTF experience is, I'm not here for you. I am here to speak what's true, what I feel moved. And if what I feel moved is providing service, insights, and breakthroughs, and transformations for you, then so be it. But you may judge or label your experience as, he's making me feel discomfort. And then you may label me as whatever you want to label. Or you may label it as, wow, he's really loving. But do you understand? I'm not trying to be loving. I'm just speaking what's true for me. But people have to first internalize or complete who they are within themselves for them to realize what is true for them. Because at the first part of this journey, you think to yourself, I feel moved to do this. It's not. It's what you feel need to do this. You go, oh, this feels true for me. But it's not. It's a reaction. It's a fine line, right? But the more you feel at home with yourself, the more you'll realize what's true for you, what's moving through you. The more you arrive at a place where you no longer need to do something. You're feeling a sense of wholeness, completion, right where you are. Then what you feel move through you comes. Like I said to you before. I sold my company previous to this one. And I did nothing for 6 to 9 months. Why? Because I was waiting to find what I felt moved to do. Then it came to me, I'm going to start speaking. I immediately put that into practice. I started speaking. I said to myself, what am I going to speak about? It said it will come to you in the moment. Don't plan it. I put that into practice. Did that take a lot of courage? Yeah, because I didn't know what I was going to say. And I've never spoken. I was never a speaker before. The most I did was MC. I didn't have any content. So a group of people came together and I started and I said, welcome. That's what I knew. After the welcome came the rest of the entire one-day program. I was going somewhere with that. I just lost it. That then turned into speaking. And I started becoming a speaker. And I started speaking in different cities and traveling wherever I could. And for the next 3 years, I just spoke and spoke one program. Back then it was called The Quest for Truth, which is now the WTF Experience. Now, that's all I did, spoke that weekend program over and over and over again. That's all I did. No coaching, or maybe a little bit of coaching, but no other programs. There was no retreats, there was no OMG, there's nothing. I just kept doing that program. And then I started putting power into becoming a speaker. I feel purposeful when I'm actually doing the speaking. So, therefore, I need to build my speaking career. See, I put the power into speaking. Then I realized that ain't it. Everything, I tried to go build a company, I tried to go build a team, I tried to implement what I know from the past, none of it worked. None of it. 2 offices I went through. First office I got, we were out. Second office I got, we couldn't pay the rent. It was none of it was true. I just went into what I did because I put power into, well, I'm here to speak. So I'm here and my purpose is to change the world and to bring change and da-da-da-da-da. Then I realized I no longer need to speak. And I was thinking, what's going on here? Well, the need melted away. And I started to realize purpose, I still feel purposeful. At first I didn't because I was like an alien feeling. What am I feeling? I'm going to find something else I've got to do. And then the feeling said no. So I just sat. And then I started to feel purposeful without doing anything. And I realized, holy shit, purpose was never in what I did, it's in who I am. Then I felt moved to go speak again. But this time, the person that was speaking was far different. Because before, it's not that I wasn't connecting to the space, I was. But character, identity of Amir was filtering how it was coming out. It's not that I was saying anything different, saying the same thing. I'd love to show you a video of The Quest for Truth, when it first started. I'm saying exactly that same thing, but the space, so different. Exactly the same thing. Back then, the character was filtering how it was coming out. And I'm not saying it isn't now when I get up on a stage or even when I'm speaking right now. Yeah, the character's still there, but the character is becoming smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller. And then people feel it deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. This is just a perfect example. I couldn't do, in the story where suddenly the business drops, right? And I didn't even notice it dropping. It's only when Ryan told me, our revenue's halved. Like, has it? Oh, I didn't know that. Because the last 3-4 months we've been on half the revenue. See, I didn't even notice that. And in that time where the revenue's halved, I'm like, that's okay. The revenue's halved. That's what's required right now. It has nothing to do with anything. I'm still able to go and travel the way I want to travel and do the things that I feel moved to do. It's not like, well, hang on a sec, I can't now travel first class or business class and live in these homes or da-da-da-da until we get the business back up. Nothing changes. Unless I have power in it, then I become a slave to, well, guys, we need to make a plan here. We need a strategy to get out of this hole, da-da-da-da-da. Who reckons they can do that? I hope so. One person, two person, three, four. Oh, they're all going up. But ultimately, forget about the business. Bring that into your own personal life. Bring that into your relationship. How many times do you not say something or do something from the fear of losing someone? Oh, jeez. Some of the things that you guys have seen me say to my employees, which one is what? Employees. Some of the team members, I couldn't say it if I had a fear of them, if I had a fear of losing them. And the only reason I would have a fear of losing them is because I've got power in them, thinking that I need them to play that role, otherwise this company won't operate. Yeah, it will. It's got nothing to do with them. They are me, and they're an aspect of myself, and just like I say, I'm speaking through you, I'm moving through them. In my Dico sitting there, I move through Dico. But just the same, Dico moves through me. It's the same one. I'm just trying to show you in the story how much things get freed up if you didn't have power in something. How do you know you've got power in something? We spoke about this in the month of Reclaiming Power. How do you know when you've got power in something? Very simple, just to remind you. Because you're trying to control it. You're trying to control your money situation. You're trying to control your team. You're trying to control your partner. You're trying to control your health. The moment you're trying to control something, you know it controls you. That's when you know you've got power in something. Okay, now I'm not going to talk about reclaiming power. You go back to month 1, watch what reclaiming power was. What's the reclaiming power process? We also spoke about not putting power into things, but now you know, right? The moment you go and to live in your story, you are going to be putting power into something. The moment I try to go do marketing, I'm either going to be putting power into marketing, or I'm going to be expressing my creativity or my power through my marketing. What's the difference? When I do my marketing, I'm not looking back to see, hey, is it working? Who cares? That's what I felt to do. Do you understand the power of that? And then someone else will go, wow, that was really cool. That's a new, and they need to go, we need to write up what Amir Zoghi did there, because that's a new technique or tool we can teach in the marketing world. You have to tell people that you don't care, for example. Because he looks like he just doesn't care. And by the way, all right, when you realize that nothing matters, that's when something truly matters. People think, well, Amir, if I get what you're saying, then nothing matters. Yes, you get into the space where nothing matters, so full that the thing that truly matters can come through you. Suddenly, what you're doing and what's coming out of you matters. It's before that nothing mattered. You were doing all these things in hope that one of them would matter. And you were putting a lot of importance and confusing that with, oh, this matters. No, that's importance that you're putting on that is just according to the power you have in that. It doesn't matter for you. But if you reclaim your power, you realize nothing matters. And you don't feel the need to do anything. Then what truly matters comes through you. You feel it being moved. It moves you. When I was at the OMG in America, we just ran an OMG intensive program. So the OMG group all decided that they all wanted Gaz to come up there. So we flew Gaz to LA for the entire OMG. I think about 2 or 3 people didn't do it. They opted not to do it. The rest of the group did it, and that's what enabled us to bring Gaz there. So Gaz went there, did the OMG intensive, and at the end of the OMG intensive, Gaz talked about the importance of all of them coming to Australia and doing a retreat, right? Out of 15 people, or was it 14? I don't know, but let's say 15. Out of 15 people, do you know how many of them signed up to do the retreat? 15. That concerned me a little bit. I get a phone call, yeah, Amir, bring some forms. Everyone wants to sign up to the retreat. I'm like, everyone? She's like, yeah, just because you can't do it. I'm like, okay, I want to speak to everyone before I process the payment. So they gave me the forms. So on the last day, I went to speak to everyone because I wanted to make sure that they made a decision on what's true for them, not because Gaz told them to and they're scared of Gaz. Right? So I went there, and mind you, if you know Americans, right, my American friends, only 20% of Americans have a passport. So to travel interstate for Americans is like catching a bus, not a big deal. To travel overseas, massive deal. You know, we Australians, we travel overseas all the time, right? Most of us have got passports. Over there, they don't, because they don't travel overseas. They've been conditioned to always spend your money in the country, in America. Right? They don't travel as much as we do per capita, right? So you got to understand how much of a big deal it was. And by the way, over there you think, well, maybe they're more wealthy, they've got more money. They are way more wound up about spending money. They may have money, all right, but they've got this big charge about spending money because they've now been conditioned that we're going through this financial crisis. It is very, very difficult to get money out of it in the story from an American versus an Australian. Australians spend more money here with us in programs versus them. So this is how much of it, I was like, all of them want to sign up? Yeah, all of them, guys, like all of them want to sign up? And they're going to fly over to Australia? I mean, I got Australians in Sydney going, oh, Hunter Valley, geez, that's 2 hours drive. You know, and Australians are more willing than the Americans in the story, right? And so I said to Gaz, well, I'm going to come and speak to them, Gaz, because I know Gaz, she's very strong, and stronger than me when it comes to external influence. And I just want to make sure Gaz didn't influence these guys. It was a true decision, right? So I said, so they gave me the forms, so 15 forms all for the retreat, and I said, all right, I'm going to come in and speak to them all. So I came in there and I said, guys, look, are you sure you'll want to do this? You know, this is an option right now. You have an opt-out. And whenever you say, are you sure? People go to their head, and some of them, if it wasn't true for them, will go, oh, maybe not. We used to use that on people joining OMG. After we've one of the things that I told the guys to qualify you guys in was ask them, are you sure you want to do it? Because then they go, oh, maybe not, you know, and then, you know, I don't want them there if it's a maybe. So I said to these guys, are you sure you want to do this? Are you know, and every single one of them went, yeah, this is our decision. This is not, you know, I said, I just want to make sure Gaz doesn't put it on you. And they're like, yeah, no, I said, you know, there's no refunds. We don't do that. Like, if you're processing, you're coming. You got to book your flights, and you can't. And they're like, yep, no, we're 100%. Like, these guys were like, we are coming to Australia. I said, all right, great. So we'll process all your payments tomorrow. So I took all the forms, and as I was leaving, I had at least 2, maybe 3 people come up to me and said, Amir, I just want you to know that this is my decision. It's not Gaz's decision. And I said, okay, great. But just, you know, and they said they said something in common together. They said, well, you know, it's very different when Gaz told us to do the retreat. And I said, so she did tell you to do the retreat? She goes, yeah, but it was very different when Gaz told us to do the retreat. I said, how is it different? She goes, she didn't need us to do it. You know, I just felt totally drawn to do it. And yeah, I had hurdles, but she helped me overcome the hurdles that I created myself. But I wanted to do this program. And I can tell you how this was different. Like, she didn't need us to do the retreat. It wasn't going to benefit her whatsoever. Can you see what I'm saying? Like, and Gaz has got that capability of actually just speaking completely what's true for it, not influence it and how it's going to benefit whatsoever. And by the way, Gaz didn't benefit whatsoever from that, if those people all did the retreat. It's only afterwards I changed it and I went, hey, you know what? You should benefit from this. You know what they were describing when these guys were saying that to me? This is what they were describing. They said, Amir, we felt, and that's where I got this from, because the two people that are speaking to me, I was like, that's exactly what it feels like when you're not going, I need to do this program, versus so. There's one more thing I want to cover with you before you guys go to lunch. Actually, before I do that, another little example of what I'm trying to say there is that, when I write the truth of the days, I get people coming up to me and they go, sometimes this person the other day emailed me and went, are you God? Like, how do you know what's going on in my life? And of course, I don't know what's going on in people's lives, but people say, it feels like you're speaking into my life of what's going on that day, And the thing is, the only way that can happen, and the same with Gaz's or horoscopes, if anyone here gets Gaz's, who gets Gaz's intuitive horoscopes? Most of you do. No, they're on this separate email, you can go get it. So what happens is that, when Gaz or myself are writing any of this stuff, it's not like we're writing to the audience. We are writing from what feels true. So the moment I open my computer, the writing's already there. It's just like, it's just there. Like the moment I'm going, okay, it's time to do the truth there, and it just comes out, okay? And I'm writing from that space. So when an individual reads it, they are feeling it, what they're feeling is that space. Do you understand? And what's that space? That space is who they are. So they're reading the words that they have written. It's a really complex thing to understand, because you can't understand that. But the individual is reading what they wrote to themselves. And they go, oh my God, it feels like you're speaking right to me. Same thing. Exactly the same thing. So, what I want you guys to do over the lunch break, today's little pondering time for yourself, is to ask the question, let it come to you. This is what the head's for, to ask the question, not to find the answer. The answer that's always true finds you. You don't find the answer here. What's true may give you the answer here, but that's what I call pondering. Someone else had another word for it in Melbourne the other day. What do they call it? They called it pondering. There was another word which I thought would be supportive for you guys to grasp. I'll remember it after lunch and I'll tell you. So sometimes, who you truly are will use the words and use your head to communicate it. And that's when you're experiencing creative thoughts, or what I like to call pondering. Anyway, what I want you to do is find your one thing. You see, for me, the one thing, and when I say one thing, I mean the one thing that you do naturally. Like I've said in the WTF, every single one of us is like a musical instrument, part of one orchestra. Every instrument makes a different sound. Everyone's one thing is different, all right? And even if it's the same, they do it differently. Do you understand? If two people, one thing is art, the art is completely different, and it's different every time. You can't keep painting the same picture. You keep painting different things. When I get up and speak, if I'm speaking from the space, I can't say the same thing that I said last time. This OMG is different to the Melbourne OMG versus the LA OMG that I just did a few days ago. It's different. I can't repeat the same thing. If I repeat the same thing, then I'm speaking from form, I'm speaking from structure. In other words, I'm speaking from finite, which means I'm speaking to your finite parts. Can you see? So I want you to realize, what is your one thing? Because I want to show you how we're going to use this one thing over the next 6 months to draw from it and get that one thing to be able to be implemented into your everyday story, whether it's around your health, relationships, finances, whatever. That's all I have done. You see, my one thing was intuition. I'm just naturally intuitive. At the beginning, I didn't even know what the big deal was. Everyone was just like, how do you know? Like, it's just, oh, Amir's really intuitive. And I used to just go, yeah, it's not a big deal. I just think everyone's intuitive. But not everyone was. It's not that everyone weren't intuitive. Not everybody used their intuition like I did. It just came to me naturally. Okay? At first, I didn't even know how I was doing it. But when I went internally, I started to realize how I turned the intuition on and how I turn it off and all that kind of stuff. So from that one thing, then I drew from that and started getting insights to the truth. I used intuition to be able to realize the truth. If your thing is art, you can use arts to be able to realize the truth, honestly. All right? So don't think, oh, well, yours was intuition. That's obviously a brilliant one to have. No. What is your one thing? It could be around finances, your creativity of what to do with money and all that kind of stuff. Like, not, the drive to make money, your creativity on what you can do to make it grow, but it's not your drive. Okay, so rarely do I find that it's around money. Very, very rarely, unless someone is in stockbroking and that's what they do. They play with digits, right? So what is your one thing? It's a source of creativity. All right, I can tell you this: whenever you do the one thing, it comes to you naturally. You don't need to think about it. You feel light when you're doing it. You don't feel heavy. Okay, how do you know you need to think about it? Because you feel heavy. It's a heavy process. You're just doing it, and it's almost like you don't even know you're doing it until after you've done it. You look back, go, oh my God, I just did that. That's your one thing. Does everyone know what I'm talking about? I want you to find your one thing. What's the one thing that moves through naturally? Everyone's got it. How do I know everyone's got it? Because you wouldn't be breathing. Okay? There is that one thing that flows through you that's called life. That's why when you're following your one thing, or following what feels true for you, you feel alive because it's life flowing through you. If you don't have that one thing, you wouldn't be alive. So every single person has got that one thing. What is the one thing that you just do just naturally? You just know, you're a journalist, right? You interviewed me once, and I just thought it was brilliant the way you interviewed me. And you're like, it's one of the best interviews I've done. That was awesome, really good fun. And she goes, well, I didn't really do anything. I just asked a few questions. But the questions were so brilliant, and she was seriously going, well, it was not and I was just like, but I was like, wow, it was really good because it was really probing me, And so what is it? What is your one thing that you do? It could be the way you parent. It could be around animals. It could be like you're a horse trainer. You just know how to connect with the horse. You know what to do with the horse. It might not be around business. It might not be around work. It might be around food. But the way you are with food, you know what to do. You just know what to cook, and you just put it all together. It's all effortless, and you don't even need to even read a book from it. Like the stuff that I'm talking to you about, I'm not speaking from form. It's not like I went and read and studied the books. Okay, I'm speaking from formless. I didn't need to read books about it. Although you may, that's okay, right? But you just notice that you could do it without the book. Like, it's even if you read the book about it, you're like, oh my God, this feels like I already knew this. That's what it feels like. It's your one thing. Does anyone have any questions about what I'm trying to say here? Who's struggling to find a one thing and be honest? Okay, so there's a few of you struggling to find your one thing. All right, don't look for it. Just ask the question. Let it come. It may come through this day. It may come through over the month. All right? Sometimes we don't know what the one thing is because we have been consumed in doing the things that need to be done rather than doing the things that we love to do, right? So, and if that's your case, then that's fine. Just notice that, okay, I really don't know what that one thing is. I've completely become like mechanic and doing what needs to be done. And therefore, if your time or space is consumed by doing what needs to be done, then there's no space for you to do what you love, what loves to be done, or what you love to do. Does that make sense? Okay. So those who don't know what the one thing is, that's fine. All right. Don't go into, I bet you, well, what I got to do is find my one thing. You see? Nothing. There's nothing you got to do to find your one thing. Well, obviously I'm meant to have it. Everyone else seems to have it. I'm meant to have one thing. Okay? No, not right now, because otherwise you would have had it. Right? And then after the break, I'm going to be talking. In fact, not just after the break, over the next 6 months, which puts a lot more pressure on the person who doesn't know what the one thing is. Oh, geez, I really got to find that one thing then. This is what's going to determine my success after this program. Am I going to graduate from this? And can you see? Oh, that's why they can't find you one thing. So, but I know everyone's got it, right? And you have an expectation of where it would be, and that's why sometimes you don't see it. You go, well, it's got to be in my work. No, not necessarily. Like I said, it could be in parenting, it could be in cooking, it could be in massage. Something that you just do. It could be in making love. Like you just got it, you know. Like every time someone's like, you got me there, you know. It could be anything. What are you laughing for? Say one thing. Okay, so whatever it may be, all right. I'm just sometimes if you don't know what it is, it's just you're looking in where you expect it to be, and it's not where you expect it to be. It's like when you lose your keys, you just go immediately where you think it's going to be, and then it wasn't there, and then you stop looking, and then like because you let go of the expectations of where it should be. Oh, there it is. It was in my pocket. Like who would have thought it was in my pocket? You know, or your glasses, you know, it was on your forehead, that kind of stuff. All right, let go of where you expect it to be. All right, and it will just pop up, and it's just something that you do naturally. You know, no one has to teach it to you. You could teach it to others. You could talk about it till the cows come home. You just do it. Doesn't mean you're doing it every day. You might not be doing it, but you could. Yeah? Do you know what yours is, Trish? Connecting ideas, connecting people. Yeah, maybe something around that, you know? So it just could be this little thing. It might be around antiques, you know? You've got a natural thing to know what this antique is. And obviously there's usually a natural love towards doing that or you know, spending more space and time in doing whatever your one thing is. Okay? Giving you as much reference points as I can. I'm out of breath now.